My career started off as a teacher and I thought I'd be a teacher. When I got into Apple, I spent nearly 20 years, so that's still the longest time. And the last 4 years I was the managing director. And during that time we won the Best Employers Award, which was a highlight for me because it really measures, do people come to work and feel valued? But before I got to managing director, I did business development in Asia, I did customer support, I did education. I spent nearly 10 years building the education market for Apple. One company, many different roles, ending up as that head of Apple Australia. I was a post-war baby and I was fortunate to have a father who was in the science side of architecture. And so during my whole upbringing, my father kind of wrapped his arms around me in terms of the maths and science. When I finished school, I went and did a Bachelor of Science with a Diploma of Education. And like many of my age group, I got married the year after I finished university. And Bill at that time was working in America at Penn State University, so we moved over there because I thought I would be a teacher for the rest of my life. But I ended up there being a computer programmer, and it was very early in computer programming. And as I look back, the fact that they wouldn't let me teach opened the door that has been a fabulous career for me in computing. In many of the courses that I did at university, I would have been one of maybe 2 or 3 women in the course, and I really didn't stop and reflect on that much, but as I look back at it now, I think, oh, yes, I was. And there's no doubt that as my computer career evolved, I was most of the time in a very small minority. I think we talk about 20% of women in STEM, and that was most of my working life. It just seemed to me like there weren't many women there. There was nothing suggesting that more women were coming through. What you really need is different people looking. It's the same thing. If you tell a story, someone will tell it from one perspective. The same story, a car smash or something, someone will tell it and it sounds quite different. Sometimes it's so different you don't even know if it's the same story. But when you're trying to solve problems in an organisation like Apple, then having different perspectives and people saying, yes, but maybe we could consider this, whether it's a gender thing or not, you need those different people to ensure that you get the best solution to problems. Gender diversity was probably the key to what brought me into the diversity space, but the longer I'm there, the more I realise that diversity is much broader than that. You've got, whether it's racial heritage, you've got different religions, you've got different people. There are people who maybe were born in Australia but have a different heritage. You have people who arrived in Australia. All of these facets of diversity make for an interest in other people, but sometimes their particular strengths get masked because they're not the same as the ruling group. This whole diverse perspective has given me a whole new lease of life to learn more things, learn more about different people. And I find it fascinating, and I continue to be inspired by different people, different skill sets, and how we can change workplaces in Australia if we become less diversity blind.